What's up, everybody? This is Josh Roberts, and this is the small group. We're so excited to have you with us today. This is where community and Christ collide, and we have a special episode right now as we're kind of like in a transitional mode of our content. I'm excited because I had the opportunity to hang out over here in Denham Springs with the youth ministry, First Students, Denham Springs, and it's been a pleasure working with their youth minister, Ben Dyer. We'll have an episode with him coming up soon. But I have the opportunity to sit down with some of their students just to talk a little bit of life. So how are y'all doing?
Good.
Also, that was awesome in one unison voice. I love it. How have y'all enjoyed the weekend so far?
It's been
amazing.
It's been amazing.
Really cool.
It really has been.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really cool. Really cool. One at a time. Just give me your first name, and you can. I know you're all kind of sharing the mic down there, but you can just lean in a little bit, and I'll be fine. And just give me your first name and what grade you're in.
Okay, I'm Becca, and I'm in 10th grade.
I'm Reagan, and I'm in 12th.
I'm Madeline, and I'm in 11th.
I'm Lorna. I'm also in 11th.
And I'm Molly, and I'm in 12th grade.
And I'm Josh, and I'm not in a grade. So cool. So, being students here in Denham Springs, any one of you, doesn't matter which one, just tell me a little bit of your, what is it like being a high school student in Denham Springs, Louisiana?
I feel like it's a lot like other places where, I mean, we have a big Christian influence in Denham Springs, whether it's Catholic, Baptist, we have a lot of different denominations that are popular. But I also feel like our schools have started going a lot in different directions. So it's important right now that we try and bring everybody on the same page, because a lot of people are starting to be like the rest of the world, a lot more controversy and splitting and dividing between different
There's a lot
groups.
of defensiveness
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
what my religion is and what your religion is.
Very separate groups.
Or
Really?
being offensive
Yes.
by saying what you believe or going up to someone asking questions.
It's like a boundary has been set between if a Baptist tried to talk to like a Catholic about what their religion or their faith is, and you get shut down, it's like, oh, I'm a Catholic. Or like, oh, I'm non-denominational. And it's like that holds you back from talking about what you
Jesus,
believe.
which is in all the religion,
Yeah.
all of them
Like,
anyway.
like I hear all the time. I take a sociology class in high school, and I just hear all the time, like, oh, I had this person come up to me today and tell me that I need to read this book in the Bible, and I just didn't like that. I just felt very uncomfortable. I felt like they were brainwashing me, all this kind of stuff. And when I know in my mind that that's not true, that just means that they just really want you to know Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what it is.
Absolutely. What would you say are some of the hardest things as a high school student today? Because obviously it's been a few minutes since I've been in high school. What are some of the hardest things that students are dealing with in this day and age?
Feeling
Social
like-
media,
Yeah.
because it's a lot to try and live up to. You constantly are given a perfect picture that you're supposed to try and match, and then people try really hard and they just completely lose themselves and expect, like, oh, if I don't match this picture, then no one's gonna like me at all. And it just creates a lot of difficulties for kids.
I feel like another thing, and it kind of goes with that, you feel lonely, you know?
Really?
Just,
Yes.
you know, that you're taught to stand in your faith and to be strong. And it's hard when you put your faith and you trust in a group of people and some of those people let you down. It just makes you feel like, am I doing something wrong? Like,
Yes.
it feels lonely.
Yeah, I think that comes along with like the fear of missing out, like especially like if you're like us, like our beliefs don't go along with everybody else's, but you still have those friends that don't have your beliefs. And so when they go to parties or they talk about stuff that they don't think you'll understand, they kind of leave you out, and then it makes you feel like you're all alone. But I've actually had the pleasure this summer, a girl started a group chat of girls in my grade, and she was like, hey, let's start a Bible study. I was like, that sounds great. So every Monday morning before school, we go around 6, and we stay for about an hour before school, and we all talk, and we take turns giving lessons. And it's about a group of 15 of us, and sometimes we can't all make it, but it's great. It's nice to have that community every once in a while, because it helps you feel like unified and strong in your faith.
And it's a place where you can talk without being worried you're going to make someone upset or cross a boundary that you didn't even know was there.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned fear of missing out, and honestly, I feel like the FOMO, if you will, is what I've heard. I've heard it increasingly used, or just that thought process. Would you say that as a Christian, that concept of I'm missing out on something because I'm not engaging in this lifestyle that other people are engaging in, would you say that that's a major factor in young Christians living out what they believe?
Right. Like I used to have that problem a good bit because my friend groups have recently started to change, mainly over the past 2 years, especially freshman and sophomore year. This year I've become way more comfortable with the fact that I'm not always going to be with those friends, but I also can't feel left out about it because I know that I'm strong in my faith and I'm doing the right thing by not going to those parties and not engaging in those types of conversations. So it's become easier for me to not feel left out anymore. I've rarely felt left out as much as I used to. And it's because I've also started to create those new relationships with people that have my same values and beliefs and things like that.
And sometimes it's like, not that you want to be invited, but it's almost nice being invited and then turning it down.
Right.
Like, for like a certain reason. You know what I mean? Like, they
Like,
still
you don't
want you
even-
to be
You
there.
don't even want to
Yeah.
go,
But-
you just want the invitation.
You just want to be
Right.
around people.
Like,
But not those people all the
yeah,
time.
like, I don't really get invited to much things, like parties or anything. But then I've come to realize that it's better that I don't be invited
Right.
because I'm not in that environment. I would rather not be in that environment and, like, not have the temptation and everything like that.
It's really hard to see it as a compliment, but if you think about it, it really is kind of like speaking to your character. Like, you've been so strong and so outgoing in what you believe that people know, like, even if I invite them or try to convince them, they're not going to come, so it's not even worth it. And it's hard to recognize and to accept the fact that other people aren't going to invite you places because of your faith and because of the things that they see you doing. Like, some people, even if there's not going to be anything bad happening, because of the stereotype that high schoolers sometimes find around Christians, especially Christian girls, I feel like, have a different side of the struggle, is like, oh, they're just going to be judging me the whole time. They're going to go tell all their friends what was wrong. And it's like, you want to tell them, like, that's not what I'm trying to do. But then at the same time, it's like, you can't really do much about it. Like, you're trying to be kind and open, but then at the same time, some people just aren't going to accept it.
And that's I think I had a situation with a friend group where that became the case. They didn't want to invite me, not because purely because I didn't do those things, but they didn't want to feel that guilt of me saying I don't want to do that, and they want to. They don't want to feel that like shame. So
That's big. For the sake of time, because I know obviously we're about to go into another session and we have dinner coming up soon, so I don't want to hold you up too long. I do have a couple other questions I want to ask. I'll give you an opportunity to share on. First of all, you've been students here at Denham Springs for a while, First Baptist Denham Springs. Obviously, there's no such thing as a perfect youth ministry. You haven't really been connected?
I've been connected since I've gotten
Got you.
here.
Don't love the Lord.
joined
That's cool. No, I'm joking.
It's new for me. I'm not as familiar, but I've definitely been welcomed in, and it's been amazing. Overall.
But you found a friend group of people that love Jesus. You're experiencing what it means to follow Jesus, and there's no perfect church out there.
Yeah.
With your youth ministry, if you could see one change that would benefit your youth ministry culture here at Denham Springs, that's not saying it's flawed, but it's not saying it's perfect. If you could see one change happen that would dramatically cause your youth ministry to just move in a different direction, what would it be?
Be more open as a group, like, in other places. Like, I feel like we're really close to each other here, and we're so, like, it's a different kind of connection when you're at church because it's just, like, you can feel all of it. But I feel like when we go to school or we go to like a dance or a party or something that we all happen to be at, it's really easy to just separate into our other groups and cliques and everything instead of just going back to the group that makes us feel the strongest. Because I know one of the times that I feel like the best about myself and the best about my growth is here when I'm with everybody else in my youth group. So I feel like if we got together outside of church more often, even if it wasn't, of course we glorify the Lord in everything that we do, but even if it wasn't like Jesus based, like we went to a party or we went to go hang out somewhere, it would just make it like us being together doing it would make it so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what Where are you going? Oh, sorry. That's what I love about the summer is because, like, we all,
awesome.
during the summer, we're all hanging out with each other
close.
24/7. Like, all of us are
Every
together.
single day.
And then, Sonic
Literally every
before
day.
Sunday, all the time.
That's awesome.
But, like, during school, I feel like we all just get so busy with our individual,
For sure.
because we all do something a little bit different. So we all get busy with our individual stuff that we just kind of not forget, but just get caught up in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Well, something else is we're also in different grades.
Yeah.
And that is hard.
And so
Yeah.
we don't have classes with each other, and we all do different. Well, I don't do any sports technically, but we all do different things outside of school.
Yeah.
And so we have our other groups because like you're not just gonna be with your church group. There's your dance group, your basketball group, your cheer group, whatever groups you get stuck in. And they're not bad, but it's just different.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to get together your other groups when there's so many different demands happening in other places.
Yeah.
Well, those are the times to be ministering too.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
That's awesome. Well, one final question, and this is a big one because it's unique. I really was not expecting for it to be just a panel of 5 females. So I'm going to take advantage of it and ask for any of the Christian guys out there, right? For any of the Christian guys, obviously, there's not a guy in the world that would say he doesn't want a good, solid relationship with someone that matters. No matter what they're looking for, regardless, nobody wants to be in a bad relationship. That's the bottom line in the dating world. They don't want to be in a bad relationship. So as girls that want to set standards that glorify God, right, and are pursuing the right kind of relationships, what advice would you give to a guy that is trying to find the right relationship?
Love God first and love God the most.
yeah.
And make sure to seek that in your relationship.
It's not impressive to tell somebody that you love her more than church
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Right.
Because it's concerning, not just because you're supposed to love God first, but because it's like, oh, well, if you can change what was on the top of your tears so fast, how long am I going to stay there?
I think pursue God before you pursue a godly woman. I think a lot of the time people are just like, yeah, like I just need to find that perfect relationship. Like I need that woman that's like godly. Like I need that in my relationship. I need it to be equally yoked. But if you're not pursuing God first, then you're not going to be able to find that godly woman that you want because
Well,
she will be pursuing
Yeah,
God
and then
first.
the problem with that is you're relying on that woman to fix you when a human can't do that.
Yeah.
That's something you've got to go to God for.
It's big.
And
Yeah.
that sets up oftentimes for disappointment because
Right.
one person can't do that.
It was
Right.
based off the wrong
Right.
thing.
Yes, exactly.
This is a bit more olden, not with today's culture,
Old
but
school.
my dad has many conversations with me about guys, obviously, but
Me too.
something he's always told me, and I think it's been good when I've talked to friends about it, is I'm not gonna date somebody that I also couldn't see myself marrying.
Right.
That's right.
For sure.
Because the whole goal of dating somebody is to eventually get married. And now it might not work because of other circumstances, but it's not a waste of time. You learn something from everybody. But I don't want to date somebody that I also would not see myself having a fruitful marriage with. Because it's really important. The same values that you would want in a husband are the same values that you want in a boyfriend. And it's important to keep your values steady, even if
Right.
somebody doesn't match them. Because my mom always told me, I remember I liked a guy and I was talking to him and he said something about what I was thinking, and I was like, I don't really like him anymore. And I told my mom, and I was like, I feel bad because he spent so much time trying to get me to talk to him. I feel bad if I don't like him anymore. And she said, you can never feel bad. Like, you don't owe anything. It's important to keep your standards really strong, and guys need to keep that too. You should not change who you are so that somebody will like you, because it's not attractive. Because your friends that are with you, like, I've watched guy friends change to match what girl they liked, and it's just like, come on,
And
man,
girls do
you're
it
better
too.
than that. Girls do
Yeah,
it
girls
too,
do it
but
too, though.
it's just, you need to be strong in who you are in order to have a good relationship.
Right, and it's important, like, once you get to, like, getting into that relationship, making sure that y'all are on, like, the same page, biblically on the same page, just that y'all both want to do.
Talk about
saving your
everything.
spiritual
Spiritual
marriage.
connection.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all of that, and
Yeah.
holding each other accountable, because temptation is real and it's hard. And just, like, keeping yourself accountable, and, like, so, like, you ever heard this thing, or the closer you get to the line, the easier it is to cross it.
That's right.
So, like,
Yeah.
setting that line further back.
Mhm.
So, like, don't even cross this line
Yeah.
before to get.
And
Yeah,
you
that
both
makes sense.
fall at different moments, but that's what makes such a strong relationship, is knowing that if I get close, he has my back, and if he gets close, I'm
Yeah,
there
holding
too.
each other just accountable for that.
And I think just making sure they know where you stand, like Becca was saying, like
Yes.
anytime I've ever like even been close to like liking a guy, I always make sure that he knows where
You
I
gotta have
stand.
that
Yeah.
conversation
Like,
up
not-
front.
Not like an
Yeah.
awkward conversation, but like, look, like this is something that's very important to me, and this isn't gonna
Mhm.
work if it's not important to you too.
Yeah.
And I'm not shutting you down. Like, I want you to try to get that relationship, but it's not gonna go anywhere unless we're equally yoked. And then so then
Yeah.
you have to try to get them to understand that if they don't already.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
you can always try to get somebody who's doesn't have the same beliefs as you to come, like teach them about Jesus, but you can't force it on them.
Yeah.
So that's
I've
just
that
personal
was another
experience.
one of my rules. I mean, I've definitely
Rules.
rules. I try, because it's easy to get carried away. You'll find somebody attractive and you'll just be like, I will drop everything right now just to get that
Oh,
one
he's
person.
pretty.
Some people are pretty, but it's I've dated people who haven't been Christians when we started dating.
Yeah.
And I went up to him and I said, hey, I heard you wanted to take me to the movies. And he was like, yeah, we should go. I was like, great. If you come to church with me this Sunday, we can go to the movies whenever you want the next week. And sure enough, he started coming to church, got involved. And it's just so great to grow your relationship on that. Even if they didn't start out as a Christian, you can definitely get them involved. And it's so beautiful because, like, he told me, he was like, because it's easy to see, like, oh, are you just trying to change me so that I match who you want me to be? And I just explained, I was like, I think you are an amazing person and I love you so much already. But this is my best way to protect you. This is my best way to make sure that you have a happy life and that you live out eternally with God, is to bring you into this. And it just, when you phrase it as this is my best way to protect and love you instead of I'm trying to change you, it makes such a difference.
My mom, so funny story, my mom used to, she would laugh because I would start talking, I started talking to this guy, and we had talked for maybe a week, I think, and I was already diving into what my faith was, and like, I was like, this is what's going to happen, and I don't know if I can say this on here, but I was like, I'm saving myself for marriage. I said, like, we hadn't gotten serious, nothing.
Yeah.
Hasn't even asked me to be his girlfriend yet, but I was like, we will not, like, get
There's
this.
not even a relationship
Yeah.
started, but here's
Yeah.
the lie.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Just like,
preparing you
bottom line.
now because
Set the
I don't want it to get
boundary.
to the middle and we're
Yes.
like, oh, we're being serious about this. And I was like, I'd rather you know now and bounce than
That's right.
start having feelings and
Yeah.
just have to be a bad situation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
No, and that's the thing is there's, from a guy's perspective, there's a lot of guys that approach relationships not looking at it with where the line's at. They're not even looking in that mindset. I had a good friend of mine once say, people without a standard will settle for anything. So if you aren't establishing a standard of this is acceptable in my book, this is what a wholesome relationship looks like, if you're not setting that standard at the onset of a relationship, you're pretty much setting yourself up where you're going to be in relationships that are not going to edify you, but it's not going to edify that person either. So, well, thank y'all so much for taking a few minutes and just chatting with me.
Great.
One of the things I do within this podcast is at the end of it, we take a moment and I just pray over the group, and just that's kind of, I treat it like an actual church small group. That's what it's supposed to be, is because it's all about community coming together, talking about life, talking about how we navigate things in this life, and obviously a female Christian perspective in high school is a whole different world from anything I'm used to.
You learn the most when you put a whole bunch of people together and just see what happens.
That's right.
Especially teenage girls from
Teenage
Denham
girls.
Springs.
Well, in that case, let me pray for you.
Yeah.
But seriously, let me pray for you guys. I'm thankful that y'all took some time and were willing to be a part of this with me. Let's pray together. Father God, I thank you so much for the opportunity to hang out with these awesome girls and hear them just share just their burdens, God, things that they yearn for in their own youth ministry, but Father, also the things that they yearn for within relationships and seeking after the right kind of relationships. God, it does my heart well to hear them say that they want to establish those boundaries and set the right standards at the onset, that they would bring you glory. So God, I just pray that you would guide and protect them, protect their steps. God, for anybody that might hear this podcast, I pray that it would serve as encouragement and education, Father, that they would see what you've called the younger generation to and what you're doing in a younger generation, Father, that you would be glorified in and through them. We love you. We praise you. This is all for you in your Son's name. Amen. Amen.